the meeting of the Lake Mills City Council for June 2nd, 2015. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Misty, please call the roll.
Mr. Grundon?
Here.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Here.
Mr. Shar?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here.
Corrections and approval of city council minutes for May 19th, 2015.
Seeing none, I'd make a motion of approval.
And a second,
I'll
please.
second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Abstain.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Correspondence. Start with Diane. Anything?
Yeah. The only correspondence I had is pertaining to a specific agenda item, so I'll bring it up at the agenda item.
Okay. Steve?
Just a couple of people approached me about the timing, how late the parks are open, lighting for basketball courts, things like that, discussions. That was about it.
Ed?
I had one regarding parking. I'll address that with Steve.
Mike?
I had the same one about the lights at the parks and some issues with spraying for weeds and such at the in the
Park.
Commons Park, and I think that's going to be on our next agenda.
And I had the same correspondence about the lighting in the park. Questions and public comment. The public is encouraged to address the council at this time regarding items on the agenda unless the item is subject of a public hearing. If your comment pertains to a public hearing, you are asked to hold your comments until the hearing. Public comments may also be made at this time on items not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state opens meeting law discourages actions by the council on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments, and fill out and sign the sheet provided on the podium.
Margaret Leslie DeMuth, N8016 County Road G, Lake Mills, Wisconsin. I'm here on behalf of the Arts Alliance of Greater Lake Mills and the Lake Mills Main Street program. I just want to give you the quickest update possible on our alley art food court sculpture project. We have a slight change. We're still waiting. We were awarded the Wisconsin Arts Board grant for the alley art part of this first phase, but because that budget isn't passed, we're still waiting to hear on the exact amount, so we decided it would benefit the community the most if we waited to do it until the spring, and hopefully we'd have that temporary art installed in that back alleyway in May, and that we could enjoy it through the summer. So lots of stuff to talk about that later. We're still pursuing our 2 objectives here, which is to include the community, engage the community in our art projects, and to beautify that area back there. We've been working with the community on our wire mobile fish and on our totem pole fish with lots of different groups, doing oral histories with seniors and working with the middle school students on doing sculptural designs for our possible sculpture. I also want to add, in sort of cleaning up the back area along with beautifying it, there are the facade grants from the Lake Mills Main Street program, but also the Arts Alliance Board has voted to give matching grants of $200 to those businesses right on Lake Street that back up to the alleyway, matching funds if that would help them to beautify their back alley. So thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to say, and a thank you to the Arts Alliance for that added $200 if somebody receives a facade grant for Main Street.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Managers report. I guess we don't. Is Elizabeth going to take that?
Yes, you can see the city manager isn't here today, so I'm going to sit in his spot and try to work things through. I put on your...
We can't hear you.
put
I
in-
can't.
Can you now? I put on your table the updated resolution for the sale of the bonds that occurred this morning. You have the draft in your packet on your iPads because when that was prepared, the bond sale hadn't occurred yet, so we needed to wait until today to get you the actual version. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Very well, thank you very much, and I understand we did well. Great, great news. Item 7, acceptance of committee minutes. Have before me the
Can we
minutes.
mention for the public why Steve is not here?
He's at a conference.
I'm just telling,
Oh.
for the public, I know why he's not
Oh,
here.
okay. Well,
but
why don't you share
I-
that?
Well, I'm not sure I have the total story. He's at a training workshop for the week kind of thing. Somebody else needs to fill that in.
I understand it's like a municipal executive conference. They're going to be doing some kind of roundtable discussions. It sounds like it is a very much of an enrichment type of program.
And it's a pretty
Very
intense
Yes.
day. What is it, something like from 8 to 8 or something like that?
Yes, that's what I remember him saying. It was very intense. He was going to
So-
be putting in a lot of hours.
So when he comes back, we'll have to hear what he learned. He must have learned a lot. Okay,
Way
thank
over
you.
my head.
Sorry for the interruption, Rudy.
Okay, acceptance of committee minutes. I have before me the minutes of the LD Fargo Library Board from April 20th, 2015, and the Police and Fire Commission from February 19th, 2015. They'll go on record as read. Council business, board and the committee appointments.
The one that was in this packet, I don't know if this is,
There's one that's in the paper packet, Robert Volanek, and he had an interest in 2 committees, or the Joint Rock Lake Committee and the Library Board, and there is a spot open on the Joint Rock Lake Committee,
Okay, so we'll put them on that.
is my understanding, is that there was an opening.
You have a motion of confirmation?
I'll move to have Robert Volanek, I probably put the accent on the wrong part there, to be a member of the Joint Rock Lake Committee.
And a second,
I'll
please.
second it.
And a vote?
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And thank you, Robert, for your time and commitment. Miscellaneous licenses, we have a plethora of new and renewal applications for tavern operators applications. Do we need to read all of those, or can we just approve them as a package?
I don't think we have in the past. It's a list.
I don't know if we usually had put it in as part of the consent agenda, and then we just adopt the entire thing in mass.
The new ones, Vicki, could be read, could they not? I mean, the renewals are under the consent agenda. How are we separating new and renewal?
Well, they're all listed, so we could just go with renewals and new applicants. So do I have a motion to accept the tavern operators applications for renewals and the list of new applicants?
So moved.
And a second?
I'd like to make a comment after you have a second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
My comment.
just,
Oh.
let's go ahead and read the new ones, just for the
I
record.
agree.
Okay, that was my
Yeah.
comment. Thank you. Okay.
So would you read them, please?
Marjorie Burrow, Wendy Cataldo, Katie Dusterbeck, Kira Geyer, John Hinrichs, Sherry Kasubi, Jenna Lehman, Crystal Voigt, and Heather Wright are the new applicants for tavern operator's license.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch,
Aye.
Mr. Grundon,
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich,
Aye.
Mr. Shar.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
That was it, right? That was all we had? Item C, public hearing for the Sidewalk Cafe cafe renewal. This is for the Waterhouse Foods on 132 East Lake Street. This is, we have any comments from the public?
I'd just like to mention it's for Carp's Landing Restaurant and Bar as well,
Okay,
at 103 South Main Street.
okay.
Okay, yep.
So we have two?
Correct.
Okay. Do I have anybody? So we'll close public hearing. Do I have a motion of acceptance of the,
So moved.
got a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
As far as I know, we haven't had any,
That's, yeah.
Wouldn't it be under consent agenda D? I mean, 5?
Yes, the public hearing is just a public hearing. The Sidewalk Cafe license is actually within the consent agenda.
Right. We don't have to make a motion
Oh.
now. We were just doing the public hearing
Discussion.
part.
Oh, I thought those were separated.
No.
It's in
Okay.
there.
All right, so where are we at now? So we need to also address consent agenda for liquor license, weight and measurements, cigarette licenses, mobile home park licenses, sidewalk cafe licenses. So that was this one.
The well operator.
And well operator's license. We have,
I just want to, well, first we need to make a motion.
yeah, that's what I was looking for. So would you
I'll
like
make
to
a
make that motion?
motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And then I have a question. Do we, by any chance, have anyone here, Vicki, to your knowledge, to speak to any of the items on the consent agenda?
Not to my knowledge, but I don't know who's, everyone who's in the audience.
Okay. My question was whether or not we had anyone here from Dollar General?
That's a different one. That's
They're not
further
listed on
down.
here.
They're in the
It-
group.
Huh?
They're in the group that we received in our packet.
Is there not on the, are they not on the electronic?
Separate.
Yeah, I looked through it.
I did too. I found them in it.
Is it in
and you
Copies
found
of the licenses, those came in your paper packet. That was the part that wasn't available for the public because
Right,
of certain
so
information.
have they been
So there was-
removed
It's
from
in
the
there.
On the-
consent agenda, is what I'm asking? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's fine then.
Well, now I'm confused.
They're not.
There's a liquor license application on your
Separate
iPad.
application? Or is that with this?
It's within the consent agenda.
yeah, it's all part of it. I don't
So
see-
anything that you want to discuss, other than to adopt the consent agenda, any council member can pull any specific item out of the consent agenda, and then you'll discuss that one separately.
Diane?
Well, I'm concerned because of, with Dollar General, because I was on the board when we approved that originally. I know that not everyone here was. Ed, you were here as well. Rudy, you were here as well. And we did make some specific requests of them regarding placement, and those aren't being followed. And so I'd like to pull that out and move it to our next meeting for, can we do it that way? Or do we need to have?
Well,
It's
first,
actually on the agenda, that issue's on the agenda tonight.
Where?
Item,
No, it's not.
no, it's not.
No,
No.
it's not. Because we can do it yet
Okay.
next meeting, because there are 2 meetings in June.
Well-
And these don't go into effect, am I in the wrong month?
no, you're right. And sorry to interrupt. Probably the most orderly thing, first of all, is to remove Dollar General from the consent agenda. Then you can deal with the consent agenda, and then you can deal with whatever you want to do tonight with Dollar General separate from the consent agenda.
So Diane, have you made the motion?
I'll make the motion,
I would
yes.
second it, to remove Dollar General from the consent
Let's
agenda.
take a vote on that, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And the consent agenda, do I have a motion of adoption of the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second,
And
As
any
amended.
discussion?
as amended.
As amended. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you, Diane. Item E, discussion decision on insurance quotes for the 2015-16 policy.
Mr. Shar, you still want to deal with Dollar General's license in some fashion tonight?
That's right. Well, let's, do you want to,
Well, I just, like I said earlier, I have a concern with issuing the renewal when I do not feel that they're following the requests that we made at the initial time.
Can we place it as a single agenda item on the next meeting, at the next council meeting?
What you'll need to do, because next council meeting, you will have to act, because, unless you want to have a special meeting prior to July 1st, because the license ends June 30th. Anybody who has a liquor license has a property interest in their license. So if the council chooses to not renew the license after one has already been given, the procedure to follow would be to have a hearing after notice, and we could do that prior to the meeting next time on the 16th. If you wanted to meet earlier, you could have a hearing and then decide whether or not you're going to renew the license. So we would have it both on the agenda on the 16th and the regular agenda, so that there would be an opportunity to take action. But I would also recommend that if you're reluctant to renew the license, that we would have a hearing on that subject prior to your regular meeting.
2 questions. One, they have the right to have representation there at the meeting.
Yes, they do.
And would be invited to do so by the staff and
Yes.
by your office. And then, would that meeting be public, or would it be a private, kind of a private meeting prior to the regular council meeting?
It would be a public meeting, but it wouldn't be televised.
Okay.
So, it's just like a court proceeding is public. Anybody can come and listen, but it's not going to be something that members from the general public can weigh in on. It would be more like a court type of a proceeding, where the council members would be the ones who would make the decision, and I would present, I'm assuming the position of the city would be to not renew the license, and then the Dollar General, if they oppose that, can make their case for why it should be renewed.
But that presumption, Vicki, is you're presuming how the 5 of us would vote, and we may not even know how we're going to vote until we have that meeting with the proprietors. So
well, let's,
we could, I would agree, Rudy, I would make a motion at this time to have that meeting, as Vicki proposed, as stated, with the providers prior to the next.
Okay, well, let's find out, is there a representative from Dollar General here tonight?
I just asked that question.
And there is not.
There's no one
So
here.
at this point, I think our only option is to go on with a hearing, set a hearing for 6 o'clock on the 19th,
On the 16th,
16th?
and then it would
And,
be on the
then-
question of renewal.
Yeah, and it'll be a question of renewal, whether or not Dollar General should show cause why they should be renewed. And we'll take it from that, and give them due notice. And that's about all we can do at this point. And we'll just take it from there. I'm very disappointed that Dollar General didn't show up tonight. I thought they would have. They got a letter.
But we should, I'd like to also have it, an agenda item on the next agenda, so that we can act on it.
Right, because the approval
Right.
or disapproval of it would be
Right.
required in the regular council meeting, not
Yeah.
the...
Correct.
So we'll just move the approval or denial for the next meeting. Put that on the agenda.
Now, is that a motion?
I think we could
Ed
just,
made a
no, we
motion.
can just put that on the
Oh,
agenda.
doesn't need to be a motion to do that?
Eventually, you'll want to table it, have a
Oh.
motion to table. But another item of business would be, when do you want to have that hearing? Is 6 o'clock okay for everybody at next meeting on the 16th?
I don't think we have much of a choice unless we want to do it afterwards. We can't do that either.
6 is fine.
Needs to be at 6.
That's
We'd have to have a special meeting if we don't do it
Can
then.
everybody make it at 6?
Be here.
Okay.
Probably the worst offender. Okay,
I'll make a
so,
motion to
table,
table it until the next meeting then.
Correct.
and a second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
It wasn't in there because
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, item E, discussion decision on insurance quotes for 2015-16 policy. Elizabeth.
Yes, yes. You probably recall, a little while ago, I discussed with you that we needed to look at our insurance policies. There were some concerns, a little concern on the type of coverage we have. There's concerns about the premiums. We were in the pool for workers' compensation. So I sent out for quotes. So we've been working with Arthur Gallagher, who is a broker, and they went out and asked for quotes for us. And also, Arthur Gallagher can't quote the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Insurance Program, so I needed to get a quote from them separately. I received the quotes in and did an analysis of what kind of coverages they offer. The premiums, of course, is important. And based on that analysis, I put together the memo and recommended that we switch and go with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Insurance. There were several reasons. One of the big ones was that when you were in the state pool, which there were circumstances that caused us to have to go in there, which had nothing to do with our experience, Maude. It was some very unfortunate circumstances that had to do with timing of getting our policy in place, and that Liberty Mutual wasn't going to quote us. So we ended up in the pool, and we lose a discount, and that discount is a few $1,000s. So we weren't very happy with that. The league said that we will not be in the pool with the carrier that will be carrying our workers' compensation, so that should be about a $7,000 savings. We also had a concern about the coverage for people and businesses saying that disputes with their assessment. We didn't have defense coverage, and the league said that they offer that type of coverage. So there were a few things that I detailed in my memo that led me to feel that a recommendation to go with the league insurance was the best thing for the city.
Okay, so the motion, it would be 15-6-1-1, Misty, would you read that, please?
City Council Motion 15-6-1-1, Insurance Coverage 2015-2016. Be it moved by the City Council of the City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin as follows. Section 1, the City of Lake Mills has solicited quotes for general liability, workers' compensation, auto liability, crime, boiler machinery, public officials, law enforcement, and storage tank insurance coverages for the policy year July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016. That the City Council considered the information presented and determined that the quote presented by R&R Insurance, representing the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company, offered the best quote for the city. Section 3, that the City Council determines that no-fault sewer backup insurance either will or will not be added to the policy. Section 4, the City Treasurer Finance Director is directed to take such actions as necessary to implement and administer said policies. The City Council does hereby approve the motion and authorizes the Council President to sign the motion.
Do I have a motion of acceptance?
Do we need to decide on Section 3 before we do the motion?
Yes, if you would. That's no-fault sewer backup insurance. We don't have that at the moment. It was something that they had offered, and I thought I would give you the option of looking at it. It costs about $1.75 per population. The initial amount they gave us was only within our city limits population, and when I discussed it further with them, they explained that since our sewerage district goes outside of our city limits, that amount would be higher based on how many customers we had outside of our city limits that were in our sewerage district. It's an optional coverage. If the city is negligent in something that caused a sewer backup, the liability coverage would cover it, not the no-fault sewer backup. We don't need that for when we are negligent. And if we aren't negligent, then the liability insurance isn't going to pay it.
Council?
I recall Jim Heilman talking about getting the no-fault backup insurance, and there was a reason why he thought that that was worthwhile to do. Unfortunately, my memory does not stretch far enough to know what that reason was. Is it something that has to be decided tonight?
No, it doesn't. It's something we could add on at any time, I'm sure.
It might be worth exploring, phone call to Jim about why was it important to have the no fault, or is it his experience that it wasn't really necessary? Because we've done it both ways.
Yeah.
I think most recently, though, we had it.
Not too
Now,
long ago.
would that come from city taxpayer, or would that come from the utility?
It comes out of the, the funds of the city, yeah. So it would come out of, I'm thinking it comes out of the general fund.
And then, because if you're also basically insuring population that are not citizens
Right,
of the city.
right.
It might be worth also looking to see if that portion of the premium for no-fault backup insurance could be funded by the sewer utility, because
That's
then
my
it's a
thinking,
pool
too.
of funds that is applicable to all of the people who would be beneficiaries of that,
But it would
That's
be,
great.
it would be city and non-city residents.
right?
We wouldn't want to be,
Right.
it sounded like the way you said it is a city resident, I would be paying for it out of my taxes in the general fund, but I'd also be carrying part of the burden for the non-city people. So we
Right.
should look at the whole thing being shifted out of the general fund to the utility.
If that's possible, also, it might be that if we can't shift it out of the general fund to pay for it, there is an argument also to be made that we're going to carry the no-fault backup for our taxpayers, our citizens, but we aren't going to do that outside of the city limits.
Are
It's
we on a time
things to
crunch
look
here
at.
on this item? Do we have to act on it tonight, or could we
Well-
do it at the next meeting and
Why
have
don't
these
why don't
questions?
you, why don't you table that portion?
We
Yeah,
haven't
we
even
need
made the
rest
motion.
of it- We need the rest of it done today.
Oh, we do.
But the no-fault part, we could pull out and deal with that at another time.
Mr. President, I would make a motion to remove the no-fault part of the insurance to be
Section 3.
tabled till the next meeting.
Okay, so just table it till the next meeting. Do I have a second on?
Section 3?
Section 3.
Just,
Yeah.
I moved, I agree. Second.
Okay, let's go ahead and take the vote on that. We'll table Section 3.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And do I have a motion for 15-6-1-1
As amended?
as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And that item will be on the next agenda. Thank you.
Item F, discussion decision on Lakeside Lutheran Outdoor Band rehearsal times. This is, there is no motion on this.
No, he didn't prepare a motion on that one. He said
Okay.
there were several options.
Okay, well, let's just go with the discussion right now, and the option would be, if we don't make a motion, would be the city manager would either approve or disapprove it.
What I understand is that he's already approved that they could have their practice according to the policy that's already in place,
Okay.
meaning that they need to stop at
And
8
they
o'clock.
want to change the policy to go till 9 o'clock.
If you want to allow them to
Add
go
an
till
hour.
8:30 on the streets and then go over to their facility.
The item that I mentioned in our, okay,
Correspondence.
yeah, at our correspondence, thank you, was about this item. And the concern that one of our city residents had is that it does get dark by 8:30 in the evening. And also, what they thought would be a really good idea is that the people, right now, the director wears an orange vest, the person, the head person. But, and this is someone that lives in the area where this takes place. They thought perhaps the other adults who accompany the band should also be wearing orange vests for visibility purposes, because, it is possible to kind of come up on it, and surprisingly enough, if they're in a marching mode and not a playing mode, you might not hear them. If you've got some music playing in your car, you might not hear them. But anyway, so I'm just sharing that they felt that the 8 o'clock time was adequate, and they'd like to see orange vests on the accompanying people.
And I would think, Diane, that we'd want, that it would be prudent to have whoever's in the back of the band, whether it be a player or be an adult, have a fluorescent vest on, because that's where you're coming up on suddenly it's there. If the second adult is walking on the side, that's not going to be protecting the back of it. I'd be concerned about the back being it. I also have a concern about the lateness of the hour. This came up during my time on the council, at least once, if not more, and we did approve it from the 8, from the time. There's no mention in any of the communique we've got as to why they need to go so much later, why they can't start sooner. And I would not be in favor of extending it past the 8 due to the safety of the students and also for the noise as they move through the neighborhood. I know that in my neighborhood, there are people who by 8:30 are turning in.
Well, I've got a lot of calls over the years on this issue, and, the memo states that, that they want the extra time for practice so the Warrior Band can be the best band around or whatever. However, they're in a neighborhood, and they also have to be good neighbors. And to be the best band in the, you know, in the world at the expense of the neighbors is not a good policy. Marching on the street is not a right. It is a privilege that's granted by the council. And to have the band, you know, playing every single night where, you know, people complain that they have to go in the back of their house, turn on the air conditioner, close all the windows, just so they can hear the news, I don't think is right. So I am definitely not in favor of going past 8 o'clock. Matter of fact, if it was up to me, it would be much sooner than that. They could practice, as far as I'm concerned, during the day, and they were offered the opportunity to practice down in the industrial park where they wouldn't bother anybody.
And we also have St. Paul's. I know they're not associated with St. Paul's, but St. Paul's Lutheran Church is located on the edge of town with a parking lot and a driveway into it.
Right. So I don't think practice at the expense of the neighbors and the neighborhood is a prudent. So I would say that you know, it should go ahead as approved, but definitely not.
Well, it's funny because I think Mike and I both took calls on kids playing basketball. One basketball bouncing in a basketball court, and people are, it's 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, and they were complaining. And so when I read this, I thought the same thing. There must be a way to move it earlier, or, I mean, the industrial parks, yeah, you got to bus your kids over there, but somewhere where they wouldn't be loud. But I know when my kids were little, 8 o'clock at night, if they were still playing, I'd be upset, so.
Well, you also reading in here that they say that at 8 o'clock they move to the parking lot, so what happens after 8 o'clock in the parking lot?
We don't have any say on that because it's private property
It's no longer a street.
and it's not
Right.
passed. It's not
So we're
passed.
just worried about them being on the streets after that time. But
Well, you know,
can they-
from experience, I used to live in that neighborhood, and they would march around Woodland Park
Yeah.
and up and down Woodland Beach, and, you know, it did get annoying.
And the 9 o'clock ending time, Mike,
It's the majority of their hours.
well, the 9 o'clock is based on, because they've moved onto their own property.
Yep.
That's the same as us as residents. We have the 9 o'clock sound curfew. We can't
Gotcha,
run a
okay.
chainsaw, or I can't be out running my skill saw or something after 9 o'clock. Our neighbor can complain, and I can be cited for that. So
Okay.
that's why it falls in. So they can they have the right to
Till
be in the
9.
parking lot on their property till 9 PM,
9,
under
okay.
the same rules that affects anyone else.
And, you know, it is a nuisance when they're, I mean, you know, bless their heart, they're trying to do their best and whatever, and I don't have any problem with that, but, you know, trying to get a vehicle through there, and having, you know, they've had times where they've had quite a few members in the band, and to get the whole band to move so you can get through was not always an easy feat, but, I guess I would entertain a motion at this time to, on this,
Question.
Yeah.
Vicki, do we need a motion, or we just pass this on without taking action? It'll revert to Steve as city manager's approval, and would be existing to the 8 PM time.
If you're not going to change anything that's already been approved by previous policies of the council, then Steve can just administer it the way that the council has approved it in the past. But if you want to make a change from the 8 o'clock cutoff on the streets, then you would have to have a motion.
Can I just make a comment that in the letter that Mr. Wilkie sent to Mr. Pufall, he did also comment about there must be guardians in fluorescent green or orange to direct traffic. So I think that would also cover, you know, that is not going to be the director of the band. You
No.
can't do that and direct traffic, so you need to have some other adults there in protective clothing.
that was part of the original.
That's what it says in the letter he sent, so that's there, and that also says 8 PM, so I think I concur with what Steve already sent them.
So all we have to do is just pass to the next agenda item and not take action.
We're going, all right.
Sounds like a plan. Suits everybody.
Suits me.
Yeah.
Item G, discussion decision on mobiles in the Commons Park Arts Alliance of Greater Lake Mills.
Should I explain? Well, we had, at the Parks Board, Karen and Steve from the Arts Alliance came and they explained they want to hang some mobiles in the Commons Park. And it was put on the agenda tonight, but at this point, they don't really have a vehicle for getting up in the tree and hanging them. And we'd also had some questions on how they were going to secure them to the tree. So there are a couple questions that need to be answered yet. So I'll just make a motion to table this item.
And we have a second?
Second. Oh, you can, that's fine.
And vote, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
So this will be on a future agenda.
Yep.
Item H, Resolution 15-23, awarding a sale of $3,545,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2015A. Just the title, right?
Please.
Because it's 22 pages long.
We have to read every
Killjoy.
word. Right.
It is available in City Hall for anybody that would like to read it, and it will also be on the website.
Resolution number 15-23, resolution awarding the sale of $3,495,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2015A.
And we have a representative from,
Ehlers, or-
We did good.
We did good.
We did good.
there he is.
Good evening. Phil Costin with Ehlers and Associates, and nice to be back with you. We did take bids today at 11 o'clock. I handed out this document. I'm going to go through this in a little bit of detail with you, outlining the results of the sale. And then, as Elizabeth identified, there was a final resolution that was sent by Quarles and Brady, who is your bond attorney, at about 3:30 today. And so she made copies, and you have those in front of you as well. Again, the difference between the draft that was in your packet or on your pads and the final is we know who the winning bidder was, what the winning rates are, et cetera, and that's been incorporated into the final resolution. The sale day packet, I'm going to jump around a little bit. We all kind of do this a little bit different. Jim's layout is a little bit different than how I would present it. But I want to start maybe with the rating, and that's the final 4 or 5 pages. The city is rated by S&P, Standard & Poor's, and starting at page 9, there is a rating report, and I'm not going to sit here and read it to you. It's going to be as dry as reading the resolution, so I wouldn't do that to you. But I'd encourage you to actually read through it. There's some information in here that I think you'll find interesting about your own community and their take on it. So the upshot is that it was the rating, the city's rating was affirmed at AA-, so no change on the existing debt and on this debt issue. And they outline in here a number of issues, and I'll just kind of hit the highlights that they have identified. Adequate economy, they look at the size of the economy. Yes?
Could you let the listening public know what a AA rating is, as well as council members who might be confused on it?
Yeah,
Myself.
there's A, AA, and AAA with S&P, and then there's gradients in between. The A+, A-, A+, AA, plus, et cetera, as you go up the chain.
So
you're kind of in the
we would
middle
be
of-
near the middle?
You're in the middle of the pack,
Right in the
that's
middle,
correct.
okay.
Yep.
That's all I
And-
needed.
And actually, I think a very strong rating because of the size of the community. That's a big factor, and because of the size, you're actually, I think, rated adequately. And they kind of identify why the rating in some of these bullet
And so,
points.
due to our size, we probably never make the AAA top shelf.
I would say yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
You may aspire to a AA plus as opposed to a AA minus, but get to that next level would be a long time in coming, just based on the size of the community and the wealth of the community and some of the other factors. So what they identified as adequate economy, and they're looking at things such as just overall tax base, population, unemployment rates, those kind of things. They identify strong management. They identify adequate budgetary performance. They're looking at fund balance and where you are from annual revenues versus expenditures. Strong budgetary flexibility, again, that ties in great deal back to the available fund balance, and fund balance for any municipalities like your rainy day fund or working capital fund. Strong liquidity, and then weak debt and contingent liability profiles. So all in all, I think a very solid rating for the city, and no change from what you have had in the past. So that's a quick review of the rating report. There is more detail there if you'd like to go through it. I'm going to jump back to the first page in, which is the summary sale day report. Again, at 11 o'clock, we took bids today, and we received 5 bids. The winning bid was Raymond James and Associates out of St. Petersburg, Florida. They had a low bid of 2.2136%. The other 4 bids are all grouped pretty tightly together, and the high bid was at 2.3330%. The upshot of this are 2 things. One, you received a lot of bids, and the rates were about what we anticipated. But what you received, what's commonly referred to as a premium bid. And this gets into some of the complexities of how bonds are sold and resold in the secondary market. So a premium bid is where the actual purchaser of the bonds provides you with more funds than you actually requested. And in return for that, they have the ability to charge a higher interest rate. So what you do with those additional funds that come in are 2 things. One, you are able to use it to reduce the amount of the debt issue, which drives down their overall debt service of the community. And in this case, you'll see that what was authorized versus final is $50,000 less. So the resolution that you have in front of you tonight is $50,000 less than the draft for Friday, because that was part of the premium that they offered. And then secondarily, they provided a premium that some of it has to go to a debt service fund. So the debt service fund is required to be put into a debt service fund for the next 2 years that will go to pay down debt, the debt service on this issue. And the net impact of that really is that the amount that you're going to have to levy over the next 2 years is less than what was projected. So that's good news for budget years 2016 and 2017. So when you add that all together and you look at what the premium meant versus rates, what we had projected versus actual, when you add it all up, it was about $83,000 principal and interest to the better than what was projected. So what that really tells you is that the premium they offered more than offset the little bit higher interest rate that they're able to charge then. And it net result benefited the village to the tune of about $83,000. So that's kind of what we see happening day in and day out in bond sales are premium bids, and that's becoming kind of the custom that we are seeing. So under the notes section on this first page, you'll see that that's kind of a summary of what I just gave you, that we had this premium bid. Again, we were able to downsize the issue by $50,000, and the net overall benefit was $83,000 to the better than what was projected. So the next couple of pages, or the next 2 pages, is a summary of the breakdown of what it will mean as far as tax rate impact, along with all your existing debt. And I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on this besides to tell you that, again, as a result of the premium, the amount that would have to be levied for 2016 and 2015 and 16 is a little bit less than what was projected. So when it comes to budget time, again, it'll make it a little bit easier. Page 3 is, again, a reminder of what was financed, and here you can see it's street reconstruction, park and rec, DPW facility, storm sewer, the dam refurbishment, and then that other item that's in there is the bid premium deposited to debt service. That was a significant amount of money, $167,000 that goes again to pay down debt as part of the money that was received. And if you look at the final net bond size at the bottom of the page, preliminary was $3,545,000. That's what you authorized, and $3,495,000, $50,000 less is what we're asking you to approve. And again, that's part of that premium that they had provided. If you go to pages 5, 6, and 7 of the document, this is a summary of the actual bids and who bid, what the rates they bid were. So again, Raymond James out of St. Pete's was the low bid, again at 2.21%. If you flip to page 6, also we received a bid from Robert W. Baird and Company, Bosk, and then FTN Financial Capital Markets out of Memphis, Tennessee. And then finally, on page 7, January Montgomery Scott out of Philadelphia. So you had a pretty, usually you get some local bids, regional bids, but then you also were able to garner interest from Florida, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. So you actually had quite a wide variety of bids that came in. Again, they were pretty consolidated from low to high. There wasn't a huge difference between low and high. So quick summary. Again, I think we're very pleased with the results from a couple and one, you're able to retain your AA minus rating. Bids, 5 bids is excellent. We see a lot of municipalities receiving somewhere between 3 and 4 bids. So 5 is excellent, and the total overall cost debt service of the issue is about $83,000 less than what was projected.
Sounds good to me.
Questions?
No, I'm happy. That's,
Thank you. So do I have a motion of adoption
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Any other comments or questions?
Just a question. Now, all the changes since we got a better deal than we thought we were going to, were we able to proofread and make sure we have them all?
I did as best as I could with the time.
I know, because it was not much time there,
Right.
so.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye,
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
thank you.
This is Resolution 15-24.
Mr. President, we have, just for the council, make sure we got a new one handed out to them.
Everybody get the new one?
Just hang on a minute, I gotta flip papers. And computer. So,
But the computer was supposed to eliminate the
Yeah.
paper.
well, this time they doubled it because they were concerned of whether I'd get it or not. So this is, okay, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you for waiting.
Resolution 15-24, Outdoor Recreation Aid Bike Trail South Side Spur. Misty, would you read that, please?
Resolution 15-24, Outdoor Recreation Aids Bike Trail Southside Spur. Whereas the City of Lake Mills is interested in acquiring and/or developing lands for public outdoor recreation purposes and to serve as a safe alternative mode of transportation to St. Paul Church and School, spurring off of the Glacial Drumlin Trail, eventually connecting to Unshaven Lane as described in the grant application. And whereas St. Paul Church and School has committed to finance construction of the trail, and whereas the City of Lake Mills supports the grant application, and whereas the City of Lake Mills agrees to maintain the spur as it would the Glacial Drumlin Trail. And now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lake Mills that the City Council commits to budget a sum sufficient to complete the project or acquisition, and 2, hereby authorizes the city manager to act on behalf of the City of Lake Mills to A, submit reimbursement claims along with necessary supporting documentation within 6 months of the project completion date, B, submit signed documents, and C, take necessary action to undertake, direct, and complete the approved project. And 3, hereby authorizes Marty Hagedorn, project manager, to submit said grant application. Be it further resolved that the City of Lake Mills will comply with state or federal rules for the programs to the general public during reasonable hours consistent with the type of faculty, and will obtain from the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources approval in writing before any change is made in the use or location of the project site.
Do we have a motion of acceptance for Resolution 15-24?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
And Vicki? Is the city obligating itself for, other than for maintenance on this project?
Yeah, it looks like a grant and a match.
Yeah.
We take
It
care of
ap- it appears...
I'm confused in that St. Paul was going to pay for it, right?
It appears that St. Paul's is going to pay the matching funds for the grant. Part of the grant application includes that there needs to be a letter from St. Paul's taking on that obligation on behalf of the city.
And the grant's 32 grand, the project is 55. So they match the 32, the project should be covered.
It should be, yes.
And one other question that I have is that the fourth whereas, the City of Lake Mills agrees to maintain the spur as it would the Glacier Drummond Trail? We do that? We don't maintain the trail.
No, we don't maintain the Glacial Drumlin Trail, no. But this would be ours, that portion coming off of,
Okay,
That spur
okay, the spur, okay.
right.
And what is
Is the-
what does the state do on the Glacier Drummond Trail? What is that obligating the city to do, is a question I would have.
What I understand is keep it maintained as far as there's going to be crushed limestone. It's going to probably have to make sure it's free from debris so that the people can use it with their bikes and walking path.
Okay.
Is there winter maintenance?
What
No.
the,
Because the trail is maintained as a snowmobile trail in the
right,
winter.
so they don't
It's not a
clear
bike
it.
trail.
No.
Yeah,
It
the
won't
state
be
doesn't
plowed.
They clear the sides, the trees coming in, it's 10-foot wide, 14-foot wide. You know, there's brush clearing that's got to be done,
Right.
maintenance to the gravel.
And this falls
We have someone
to-
here that could address in some way the council, if we wanted to waive the rules
Would
to
you-
allow that. I'd make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
Yeah.
let's take a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Nick Robinson, Lake Mills Bike Ped, and I've been working with Marty and with Steve on everything that's involved with getting this implemented. As far as the maintenance is concerned, you guys are right on track. You know, we'd be looking to have the city take over ownership and maintenance of the trail and maintaining in the same manner of the Glacial Drumlin Trail. So maintaining it is crushed limestone. It'll be constructed the same manner. As far as funding goes, exactly, you're accurate. St. Paul's has agreed to pay the matching grant, so the cost of the trail would be covered by 50% by the DNR and that grant, and then the other 50% by St. Paul's. So there wouldn't be any cost to the city of building the trail itself.
And I have a question, thanks for being here. I have a question on, when we talk about the maintenance, let's go back, thanks for clarifying that the city's not paying for any of it to be built.
Correct.
The maintenance, it would be maintained as a bike trail. Now, if the Glacier Drumlin Trail is a snowmobile trail, there's no reason to have this be maintained as a snowmobile trail out to the school, nor would we want it to be for safety of any, the students on it, would be, I mean, it's a corridor for the students to be able to get from the city out without being on the state highway, correct?
Right. And-
So, I would look at having the wording be for as a bike trail, perhaps, but.
And I believe as far as the Knowles stewardship grant that we're applying for does require that it would be consistent with the Glacial Drumlin Trail. So I think legally, as far as the DNR is concerned, that they would consider it still a snowmobile trail in the winter, because that's just part of the funding and the continuancy of that trail. But no, our anticipated use is bicycles and pedestrians for the local residents.
Is our current northern spur used by snowmobiles?
Actually, no, I think that when you go, where this trail ends and the northern spur on the east side of the golf course
Right.
is, I don't believe either of those are designated snowmobile. It's
I
just
don't
this
think I've ever
main
been
one.
there in the winter. I don't honestly know if that,
I've walked there in the
Because they
winter, and I've
designate the
never seen a
trail.
snowmobile on it,
Yeah,
on the other
on
side.
the spur going
Yeah.
north, yeah.
How does,
I believe the DNR has the path, and that northern spur wouldn't be on, this shouldn't be on it, you know.
yeah, and we'd much prefer that it was a bicycle pedestrian trail.
I mean, it'd be kind of fruitless for a snowmobile trail because it doesn't go anywhere except to a parking lot.
It ends at a, yeah.
it goes to the road, that you can then go the side of the road. But they don't like those.
Not really, you got it, it's not a
Yeah,
trail.
their whole idea is to be on that trail going, I mean, the Glacial Drumlin goes
Right.
pretty far.
Waukesha,
Cottage Grove.
yeah.
So who does this fall to then for maintenance inside the city? Is that parks or is it roads? Is it,
Yes,
Parks,
the
I would
parks
probably
would
gonna
be
be parks.
maintaining that.
and have we talked to them already? Do we have enough people? Do we have enough, how, this
You know,
is gonna.
judging by the other spur that we have, there's really no maintenance involved. once
There's no
it's
grass
put in.
cutting, it's not,
Nothing to do.
yeah.
Maybe once a year,
yeah,
refresh
it's-
the,
You go through it twice a
even
year, check for brush.
Check for
Yeah, and
washout.
check after a storm, check to make sure there aren't branches on
Yeah.
it. That would kill somebody when they hit it with their bike.
yeah, I would just hate to
Tree that'll fall
put a
over.
lot more
power.
on Rob and his crew.
I have to arrange that the tree that's there will be the one that pulls down another power line.
There you go.
Did this
Plan
come,
on
Steve,
that.
I'm sorry, did this come before the Parks Department?
Did this come?
This did not.
Probably for timeline purposes.
Do you know the deadline on the grant application?
The grant application's been submitted, but I believe there was a deadline here very short of
Short.
June 5th, I saw in the conclusion here,
Okay.
in the memo that was issued. It's the last
I
paragraph.
just don't think this is going to be a workload issue for anyone. I
No.
mean, once it's put in, it's not like, it's going in an area where there's no trees, it's going through a field, so it's an open area.
Less, you know,
But it is adding one more thing for them to look at and check, and so it may be something we want to talk about later, but I don't see it as a issue to stop going forward with this.
Well, and I'd rather see the kids on the bike trail than going down the
I
road.
would too, yeah,
89's.
It's just
Terrifying.
safer for everybody.
yep.
Any other discussion? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Kirkovich?
aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Two more
Both second readings.
second readings.
Ordinance 1148, this will be the second reading for a request to amend the zoning from general industrial I-1 to multifamily residential R312. Why don't you just read the title?
Ordinance 1148, amending Section 10-3-2-A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, parcels 246-0713, 1312, 020, 510 Owen Street.
And this will go on to the third reading. And item K, ordinance 1149. Again, this is the second reading. This is a request to amend the zoning from general industrial I-1 to planned industrial P1, Chapter 2 incorporated. Would you just read the title on that?
Ordinance 1149, amending Section 10-3-2-A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, parcels 246-0713, 1313, 020, 305 South CP Avenue.
And this will go on to the third reading.
I have a question for council.
Yeah, I just want to make sure she
Yeah,
knew.
it was my understanding that one of these two was requesting to be a third reading tonight. Am I wrong?
The ordinance 1148 was, and I'm just trying to find on here if it's in your
It's the third one.
information.
It might have been.
I think I'm on the wrong item.
I thought I read that.
It's right here, it is.
Yes,
It's the second
1148, we have the
page.
sheet. We
Second
respectfully
page, to
request a
reading.
third reading on the zoning
So can we
change.
back up?
Okay, so let's,
Well, should we finish this one? and
why don't
then
we,
back- Let's finish.
did we vote on 1149?
No, that's
no.
not the one, it's the one before, with 48.
Okay.
So-
Do you want to make a motion to move it
What-
to the third reading?
Well, let's, okay,
We could finish the other
we
one.
finished 48, didn't we? Aren't we on 49 now?
We can back up.
I know,
Back
but
up.
what I'm asking is, have we made a motion on 49 yet?
No.
No, it's just
Okay,
passed to
then
the
that, we
third
could
reading.
just go back to 48.
Right, I'm asking,
Okay.
would you like to make a motion?
I'll
to-
make a motion on ordinance 1148 to suspend the rules with the second reading and go to the third reading tonight.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I don't have, maybe council has some, that was a request of the owners of the land, right? Am I wrong? Is that- I've got
I'm
paper in
assuming so, but it doesn't matter who requested it, it's your motion.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't, okay. Well, I don't see any reason why we can't,
No,
but
it looks
if
like-
somebody else sees it, there
Just
is.
looks like a good use for it. Take the old daycare center and
Yeah.
Yeah.
turn it into,
Like I mentioned last meeting, it went through the planning commission, and it's in harmony with our comprehensive plan, so it's
it's a
what,
good use.
Was there much, Mike, was there much public discussion?
the only person that spoke up was Mr. Person. He's worried about he's getting zoned out or pushed out of the area there, but the area that is in question is actually on our comprehensive plan as
Yeah.
to be changed to this type of zoning anyway, so.
Okay.
But that was it. He was the only one that spoke besides the
Okay.
owner, so.
That's all I wanted to know.
Anything else? Call the vote, please. This will be for the third reading.
Well, we have to make a vote to have it be the third reading, right?
Right.
But not for the third reading.
Right, to have the third reading.
Okay, thank you. I'm not trying to be a pain, but I wasn't sure.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay.
Third reading.
Ordinance 1148, third reading.
Don't, oh, yeah, okay. Yes. We need a motion on that now?
Would you like to make it?
I will if we need
Okay.
it. Do
If
we
you
need a
would like to
motion?
make the motion for the.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1148.
And do we have a second?
As amended, no,
As
as
amended.
amended, yes. No, not as
Not
amended,
Not amended.
just moving it to third reading, right.
Okay,
Got
Diane.
it. I'm got it.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Moving on to ordinance 1149. This will be the second reading. Would you read the title one more time?
Ordinance 1149, amending Section 10-3-2-A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, parcels 246, 0713, 1313, 020, 305 South CP Avenue.
Ordinance 1149 will move to the third reading. Recommendations for future agendas,
We've already
other
got
than
it.
what we discussed already.
I just wondered, do we, in our packet, we received a letter from the Sandy Beach Group. Does that need to be put on an agenda, or is,
It was a meeting with Steve.
okay, so we don't
We're-
need to
no.
take any action?
It's possible that you might be meeting in closed session about it next time. It's not clear at this point whether or not we're going to be ready yet.
Okay, just checking.
Anything else?
The Plan Commission, the Public Works Board is going to be meeting on June 9th, and at that meeting, they will be doing a tour of project sites, present and future, and the city council is invited to attend. It already is noticed that a quorum may be present at that meeting.
I would like to speak in favor of all council members that can possibly come. I went to last year's, and even though it was dark or kind of dark, it was very valuable, and this one should be better because we'll have more light. It's doing it earlier in the evening. But it was very informative. So,
Just for the council, that if you do intend to go, that this will not be the forum to discuss any business, so it's just a look and learn. So, having said that.
I have,
Oh,
Rudy, I have, just bring around that we have Around the Corner with John McGivern for the Milwaukee television with Tuesday, June 9th and June 10th and June 30th again will be in Lake Mills on July 1st. So they'll be getting snippets and filming a lot to cut down to just a few minutes that will be promoting Lake Mills on their program.
That'll be great. Thank you for that information. So say hello if you see him out there. All right, if nothing else, we are adjourned.